He's like, oh, and now my sister knows. Everybody in the town is talking about it. And if he brings up his sister one more time, if I was Lauren, I would tell him go be in a relationship with his sister, because that's all he talks about. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kay Unscripted, and I am your host, Kay. I am back with another recap on Love is Blind, Season 8, Episode 9. Hold up. Have you subscribed to my channel? If you haven't had a chance to yet, this is your moment. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and don't forget to comment. Let's talk about it. So then we move on to episode 9, The X-Files. This is what it's called. And so we see Taylor and Daniel. They're about to meet the family. Taylor meets Daniel's family. And Daniel says that it's his first time bringing a girl home. So they're greeted by the family dog named Castle. And also Daniel's mom, her name is Sally. Daniel's dad, whose name is John. Daniel's sister-in-law named Bryce. And his brother, whose name is Michael. And his sister, who's visually impaired, her name is Rachel. So they sit together with the family, looking all cute and stuff, and they're talking about their love story and just how things have aligned for them and why they picked each other. Taylor is talking about how Daniel referenced the mother of his child, and that was something that really resonated with her. And so his mom, she is so nice. His mom says that Daniel doesn't let people in, and for him to let someone in says a lot about how he feels about them, and that's referencing Taylor. And I was just so touched watching these two. They've moved past the whole thing with the stalker thing that Netflix was trying to sell to us. They moved past that, and you could tell that they genuinely like each other, love each other, and they really are committed to the relationship. Taylor shares that her family is taking a little bit more time to warm up to the process, and I love how Daniel's family, they really just showed support to them and let them know that they have their back and they support their relationship. Daniel's dad, John, he says it's a little unorthodox, but it's God's will, and that was really heartwarming. That was really nice of the family. Next, we see David and Lauren, and he's about to meet Lauren's friends at a spin class. And so David is struggling to keep up with the class. You could tell that David's ego is a little bit bruised, because again he's bringing up that issue about Lauren and the ex. So he says that he knows the guy and that he's having a really hard time moving past the situation. Speaking to her friends, and her friends are the worst liars in the world. They're the worst cover-up in the world, and they're like, oh, that guy, he's never met us. Anytime that Lauren has been in a serious relationship, we meet him. We've never met him. We've just heard about him. They're just, trying to cover up for Lauren. And they're like, well, are you listening to your friends or are you listening to her? One of her friends mentioned that the guy DM'd them and saying like, are we going to blow up this wedding? So pretty much saying that the guy just wants his 15 minutes of fame. We have yet to hear from Lauren or to hear her side of the story. But we see that it is really hard for her because she's been crying all of the time. And so David is getting all of this information from his friends, because his friends are apparently friends with that guy. And it's looking like he's believing whatever his friends are telling him over Lauren. And of course, the fact that his sister knows it's a big deal, and he's like, oh, like, now my sister knows. What am I going to do? It makes me question, like, are we missing something here? What is going on? Why is David, Are we missing something? Is there something that we don't know? Because you're really stretching this thing out. Next up, we're seeing Devin and Virginia, and Virginia is meeting Devin's family. So she's meeting with his mom, Becky, his dad, Willie, and I couldn't help but think how funny it would have been if he got engaged to Brittany, and you know how it would have been kind of like a family joke that Brittany's dad, his name is also Willie, and Devin's dad name is Willie. That would have been funny. She's also meeting his sister Kayla and his brother-in-law. So Becky is like, Devin's mom, whose name is Becky, is like, well, Virginia, tell us a little bit about you. And Virginia talks about her career, and they also talk about why they picked each other and how they're wanting kids. And let me tell you, immediately his sister Kayla brings up her age and is like, well, you're a little bit older. Kayla, if you don't sit your butt down, please. Why are you bringing up this woman's age as if she doesn't know her age? So then Kayla tells Virginia that Devin wanted 5 kids and he wanted to name them each after a letter in his name. So she says, Virginia said she also did want 5 kids, but now she's down to 3. So they start talking about finances, and Virginia mentions entertaining the idea of having a prenup, and you could tell the brother-in-law's face just switched up, and he's like, what the hell? Prenup, why? And so Virginia's like, I don't know why this is such an issue or why it should be an issue, but I do see myself working together with Devin, and so we could create generational wealth. So his sister Kayla jumps in and she's like, well, is this why you want a prenup? And Virginia says, well, for me, it's just a safety net. If the worst thing happens, then we are both protected. And I don't get why it's a thing, but for me, referring to Virginia, for her, it just makes sense to go in that direction. Now, I understand Virginia's explanation, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I feel like she doesn't feel very safe with Devin, and given that she is a little bit more mature than him, in spite of the age differences, when it comes to the finances, she may be a little bit more financially responsible, and seeing maybe the way Devin spends his money. And he also did share that he has some student loans. It's not a lot, but he did, maybe to her it's a little bit more of an alert for her, and so this is why she wants to have a prenup. Also, I remember in the pods we saw Devin telling Virginia a lot that she needs to open up to him more, and so my mind just cannot help but wonder if for some reason she may have been taken advantage of when it comes to finances, or maybe it was something in her childhood, or I don't know, y'all, hear me out. Is it something about Devin that doesn't make her feel that secure? Because us women, we need to feel safe in our relationships, and I don't feel like Virginia feels safe with Devin. And so for some people, maybe because of their childhood, how they were raised, maybe coming from a background where they had nothing or they struggled a lot, finances is a very scary thing for them. Not having or not knowing, when you will get, or just living paycheck by paycheck is scary for a lot of people. So I don't know if this is what's happening with her, but I think it's deeper than just, well, she did say it was a safety net, so I feel like it's in that aspect. We didn't see Mr. Willie saying too much, but then we see Miss Becky. She's like, well, what if he lost his job or he gets sick? Are you going to still be there for him? Are you going to hold on to your part of the vow that says in sickness and in health till death do us part? And Virginia says, well, you know what? I have done it before without even this much of a commitment, so it's not going to be an issue for me. Now, I do feel like the family is justified in asking these questions, but I think they were all just put off by the prenup, bringing up the prenup. And so they're asking all of these questions to make sure that Virginia is in it for the long run. I also do feel like, Mom, Miss Becky, you need to be asking your son the same thing. Because a lot of times we try to hold the in-law accountable for certain things, and most of the time it's your child doing certain things. So you also need to ensure that your son is going to hold on to his end of the bargain, because we know he has had some issues, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Then the brother-in-law steps in and he's like, well, what if the parents get retired, and are you going to put them into a home or whatever? What's wrong with your home? Can they come over to your home? Can they live with you? I don't know. They were just asking Virginia all of these questions. They were literally grilling her, and I didn't feel like that was right. Next couple we see is Sarah and Ben. And Sarah is meeting Ben's friends. So they're asking her why the show, and she tells them that she's never done the dating apps. And his friends also ask her, well, what are you looking for? And she responds by saying that she has been looking for someone who's fun, who's optimistic, and who has a zest for life. And she feels like that's exactly what Ben is. I don't know, baby girl. She also shares with his friends that he believes in equality. Now that's a lie, because we did see in the scene that you were conflicted during the pods. You were conflicted because he did not believe in the Black Lives Matter. I don't know, did we miss some kind of conversation? Because now you're making it seem like he believes in equality. I don't know. But she made mention of her sister being gay and how Ben was really supportive about that, and that made her feel really good. And then one of his friends was like, well, I have a girlfriend. Good for you, girl. Now, I don't know if they probably agreed to not discuss it during filming about the Black Lives Matter movement, maybe trying to protect Ben, because they probably realized, or Sarah probably realized, that this would be a thing if they continue to talk about it. So they may have made some agreement to not talk about it while they were filming. So his friends are just telling Sarah how amazing Ben is, and he's always a designated driver, and that Ben hates the word religion and he calls it faith, and I guess that's so amazing. And going to church is really important to him, and they ask her if she's open to going to church, and she says yes, she's open to doing that. Then we see Monica and Joey. They're sitting with each other, and Joey is folding clothes. He's doing a really good job at folding his clothes. And they discuss meeting her family, and she's asking him, well, what did he think about it? And he says, well, it went well with the parents, but he doesn't think that her sister likes him. And you know what? He doesn't care. He's fine with that. And she says, oh, it's not fine. So he said, well, I don't know if I did something that makes her not like me, but I would be open to hearing what it is. And so Monica says, well, you did nothing wrong. And she doesn't think that her sister has ever felt like anyone has been good enough for her. So Joey tells her, well, maybe your sister is jealous. There's some jealousy going on, and you guys might have some unresolved issues. He says that if his family told him that they didn't like his spouse, he would listen to them. Now, I don't necessarily agree with him saying that, because from my personal experience, as we see, Monica's sister is jealous. Now, not everyone has great family dynamics. Sometimes a sibling may be saying this out of jealousy, like we see, because her sister said, well, I am older and I should be married before you. Now, a lot of times in families, we see the siblings or even the parents making the marriage or the wedding, I would say the wedding. We see them making the wedding day about them, the planning process and all of those things. And personally, I feel like it should be about the couple. So Would I be cautious or would I keep an eye out? Sure, I would. But I wouldn't say, oh, well, my family don't like you, well, I'm going to break up with you. I do not agree with it. I feel like when it comes to family members, they can become too involved in your relationship. And I know people say you're not just marrying the man or the woman, you're marrying the family. I get it. However, I feel like for some family members, you need to set boundaries. If you do not set boundaries from the onset, then they will become too involved in the relationship and they will start meddling with the marriage. In my opinion, based on my belief, a marriage is between the two parties and God, not the parties plus the sister, the mother, the brothers. This is just my personal opinion. Joey tells Monica that you and your sister need to sit and talk about it and resolve whatever issues is happening or whatever is causing her to feel that way. Next, we see Taylor and Daniel. Daniel is meeting Taylor's family, and so in the family she's meeting her mom Connie, her dad Dan, and you could tell that Taylor is so close to her dad because they share a long hug with each other. And they also mention that Daniel's parents will be joining them later because it's important for their parents to mesh with each other and to get to know each other. And I thoroughly enjoyed this meeting with Taylor's family and Daniel's family sitting together, with the two of them. So Taylor shares how difficult her mom has been coming along with, the process, and that her dad has really been supportive and ready to meet Daniel, and she's just so excited that the day has finally come for her parents to meet the love of her life. Now, so far, we've only seen this couple doing everything they need to do to ensure that they do things the right way. They are really committed to the process. So immediately when Daniel started talking, Taylor's mom, Connie, she says, hey, listen here, it's me you have to impress, not her dad. Mom is not playing. She is not playing with Daniel. But he pretty much just says how serious he is about marrying Taylor and that he's going to do his best to take great care of her. So they both also share that they've never brought a significant other home to their parents. And then Taylor's mom is like, well, how on earth did you think it was okay to get engaged and not include me? And Taylor's like, Mom, relax. We told you as soon as we could. Taylor is not playing with her mother, right? She also says that she's always asked for the opinion of her families when it comes to her relationships, and this time she really wanted to make a decision that was not influenced by her family. And this is why I said what I said earlier in the situation with Monica and Joey, how family members can be meddling with the relationship. Taylor says she really wanted to go with her gut, and then we see Daniel's parents walk in and they meet Taylor's parents, and they're all just enjoying each other's company. That was a really, really beautiful scene with the family, and Taylor's mom makes it known that this is a very serious thing. They don't believe in divorce, and both of the parents, they just start pouring positivity and encouragement into these two, and I love that for them. This is what every child wants. And as if it wasn't already an emotional moment, Daniel says that, Taylor is the answer to his prayers. And so he meets with Taylor's parents privately and he asked for her parents' permission to marry Taylor. That was really beautiful. We saw Taylor's dad starting to tear up, and, I started to get emotional too. And this was really beautiful to watch. In the end, the parents did agree for Daniel to marry Taylor. That was really beautiful. Now, when I tell you I'm tired of this situation with Lauren and David, I'm tired. Next, we see Lauren and David getting ready to meet David's friends. They're apparently supposed to be coming over, but he's saying that there's a lot of reservation from his friends because apparently the guy that Lauren was seeing is close friends with David's friends. And he's saying that the guy is saying that they were in a relationship And David feels like his friends wouldn't lie to him, and he doesn't want to be in a position where he has to choose. Lauren is saying how frustrated she is because they're having all of this discussion about her and she's not a part of it. And he's simply just going along with whatever his friends are telling him. So Lauren is like, well, if y'all are going to discuss what I do with my body, then I should be a part of that discussion with your friends. And so she's finally signing up for herself, and she's saying that, listen, this guy is lying. We were not in a relationship. We were just friends with benefits. That's simply all it is. And she's telling David, I don't know why you're all of a sudden listening to what this guy is saying. All of a sudden what he's saying is facts when you don't even like the guy, and you're going to believe him over me. Now if I'm in a relationship with you, we're engaged, about to get married, and I'm telling you that this is what the truth is, and you're still insisting on listening to your friends, then I would be done with that relationship. This is definitely grounds for separation. David's ego is just bruised because he knows the guy, and obviously this guy must be really bothered because he cannot stop talking about it. Lauren says that, they were never serious. The guy was seeing other people. She acknowledged that, it can look bad, and she probably should have cut ties with him earlier, but you know what David is more pissed off about? It's the fact that he has not slept with Lauren, and he cannot get the image out of his head that she has slept with that guy. He's like, oh, and now my sister knows. Everybody in the town is talking about it. And if he brings up his sister one more time, if I was Lauren, I would tell him go be in a relationship with his sister, because that's all he talks about. David pretty much just tells Lauren that he cannot see himself moving forward with her. And she's like, I don't want you to go, please. Just stay the night. Lauren, at this point, it's a pattern. You've been a pick-me girl, because the entire time he was lying to both you and Molly. And even with this situation, not once has he stood up for you. And you're pleading with him to pick you again, to pick you over his friends, to pick you over his sister. I don't know if there's more to the story, but David, you're acting like it's such a big deal being with someone that your friend group knows, and oh, now your sister knows. Boy, bye. This is dumb. It doesn't make sense. And now, Lauren, if you're trying to prove to David that he can trust you, you shouldn't be allowing any communication to be happening between you and this man. If you are, I'm assuming based on what David is saying, but he isn't for you. Lauren, you need to let that man go. So to end this episode off, we see Ben and Sarah, and she's telling him how much she enjoyed meeting with his friends. She pulls out her phone and she's seeing a TikTok from this girl referring to one of the male cast of the season. So she's telling him about the video, and she scoots closer to him, showing him the video. We don't hear it, but we can tell that she's sharing the video with him. Ben had the nerve to sit there and watch the video, knowing very well that one, he had already seen the video, and two, he knew that the girl was speaking about him. So while she's showing him the video, he tells her it's about him, and he's already seen the video. So if she did not bring that up to you, would you not have brought that to her attention? Make it make sense, Ben. Y'all. So he tells Sarah, well, as soon as I saw it, I wasn't sure if she would release my name, and I didn't want to give her any control over that narrative, so I blocked her, and she apparently blocked him from her TikTok. So he said he had not talked to that girl in 4 years, and Sarah's like, well, if that's true, why is she acting that way? Why would she be crying? And he's like, well, that's why I blocked her. I don't know what else she's going to say. Oh, so you're scared that she's going to say something about you that may be true? He pretty much is saying that the girl is making things up and that she's overreacting. So Sarah says, well, how did y'all meet? And he says, Tinder. Now, if I'm not mistaken, on Tinder, people usually meet on there just to hook up. But Ben said they never did. Sarah's like, never. And we can all tell that she's not buying the story. He says, well, I don't even remember the details. I cannot tell if it ended badly because it was 4 years ago. I don't really remember what happened. And Sarah is like, well, come on, Ben. How could you not remember? This isn't making sense. But Sarah is asking all of the questions. Now, Ashley, from last season, you see what Sarah is doing, right? This is what you should have done. But anyways, she's like, okay, so you ghosted her. That's why she's crying? Did you go home with her? He said, yes. Did y'all kiss? He said, yes. And y'all didn't hook up at all? Ben says no. So she's like, so y'all didn't speak to each other after that? He's like, I don't even remember. Maybe a DM here and there. And then she's like, well, what kind of DM was it? Like a hi, hello, or do you want to hook up? But he dodged that question. He didn't answer it. He's like, well, that wasn't really on my mind and I didn't think I needed to come out and tell you. And that could very well be true, Ben. But you're engaged to this woman. And so the minute you saw the TikTok came out, you should have sat with your fiancé and you should have told her what was happening. So Sarah says to him, listen, I've come to know you, but I'm not going to dismiss this girl and what she's saying, because I know it's a chance things can happen and people can change. But if I find out anything else, then I'm not going to trust you. Ashley from last season, this is what you should have done. This is how you should have questioned Lila. And so she tells him, I'm going to need you to tell me everything. Period, Sarah. Period. Don't play with me. That's what she's telling him. Don't play with me. Because guess what? You give someone an inch and they will take a mile. And this is the end of episode 9. I will say that these episodes have been a little bit more interesting. I would say probably episode 9 has been the most interesting. What is your opinion on the situation with Lauren and David? Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and let's talk about it. Bye.